and welcome to London Stock Exchange's CEO series, Be Inspired, where we speak to CEOs, founders, and senior leaders of our London-listed companies and learn about their journeys. My name is Rhiannon Main, and I'm a senior associate in the primary markets business development team for the Americas. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Bob Rauker, CEO of medical devices company Belluscura, which IPO'd in London in May 2021. Bob, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I thought we'd start off by just delving into what is Belluscura. So could you give us an overview of what Belluscura does?
Well, Belluscura is a medical device company that was founded approximately 4 years ago, and our primary focus is on what we call oxygen enrichment technology, which is a broad range of technologies, but we focus predominantly right now on treatment for people with interstitial lung diseases and or COPD and similar type of lung diseases.
Can you tell us sort of how did you get into it? What was your journey to becoming CEO of this company?
Well, I got into this about 5 years ago when I partnered with a company which is our research arm, a group called Separation Design Group, which is in Pennsylvania, and they had developed some early stage oxygen enrichment technology, which was actually award-winning technology from the U.S. government. And we partnered, we thought, a wonderful opportunity to commercialize it. It had tremendous intellectual property around it, and that's basically how the formation of Belluscura became, as a partnership between the two companies, and we've taken it now from there. We've obviously done very well with their technology so far, and we're excited. So that's kind of how it started. My background is in intellectual property, and we saw a neat opportunity to combine their research and my background in IP, and that's kind of the genesis of the company.
And had you worked for a medical devices company before, or was this a completely new area for you?
Oh no, I've spent probably too many years to remember, but going all the way back to when I was an attorney. I've worked for many of the largest medical device companies in the world. In different roles as patent attorney and business development and things of that nature across both in the U.S. and Swiss companies in the past. So it's a long, probably close to 30 years in the medical device industry.
Wow, that's quite a career. I imagine being CEO keeps you very busy, but what do you like to do outside of work? Do you have any cool hobbies, or what interests you outside of work?
I'm a single father of 2 girls, 20 and 23, and 4 dogs and cats. I don't have a whole lot of outside of this company, which I love doing part of this. This is something I've always wanted to do, and we are rapidly growing. We're squeezed into this office right now, and we're expanding. So there's just a lot of things going on. So I enjoy what I do here. I mean, I'm an inventor on this technology. You'll find me here on weekends. Messing around with the technology, working with our research partners. So it's both work and a hobby for me. I really enjoy it, and so that's. I know it sounds kind of sad, but I actually do enjoy it. It's fun working on next generation technology.
You've spoken about how you had a background in IP. I think how do you sort of implement that into Belluscura's sort of drive, and how do you sort of drive innovation and bringing people together in your company?
Well, I mean, I have a STEM. I have an engineering degree. I do have a mechanical engineering degree. I did work for a few years as a project engineer, but most of my experience is in the intellectual property in the patent field. I'm a person who looks at from a STEM standpoint in this company that there's lots of ways to innovate in the medical device industry, and after 20 some years. Acquiring a lot of companies, doing a lot of mergers and acquisition. I've learned from some amazingly talented people and who have had very successful businesses. And that was kind of what drove me to take this company and say, there's a lot of companies out there that have wonderful technology, but that doesn't always do it. So this company is really based on lots of innovation in sales, innovation in how we market the product, how we approach the patient. So we don't just rely on our intellectual property. It's how we price it. Just a lot of different things that go on, and a lot of those big contributors are people that don't have a STEM degree. They have general marketing, liberal arts majors. And I learned with one of the big companies I worked with before, which was a multi-billion-dollar Swiss company, the chief technology officer actually had a degree in photography. But he had a tremendous ability and mechanical abilities and stuff. So you learn that, hey, you don't want to be limited just to people with the degrees. And I think that's important because there's a lot of tremendously bright, innovative people. And that's kind of how this company is built around. We definitely have people with PhDs here in sciences, and we have a lot of liberal arts, but everybody is an innovator in this company.
So moving on more to how you've grown as a company, obviously I'm here in London, you're there in Texas. I think some people will probably be surprised by the number of IPOs we've had over the last few years from US companies. So I guess could you give us a bit of color on sort of like why you chose to list, and then why did you choose to list in London?
Sure. And I think that all relates into our wanting to be innovative. I mean, I think that the traditional path of a lot of medical devices in the United States is the classic angel investing, and then mezzanine, whatever you want to call it, Series B, Series C funding. But what's happened in the United States is that there just seems to be a real difficulty once you get a few $1 million invested, finding that next level of funding. And that's where we took a step back and said, there's a better way to do this. And that's when we started talking with the London Stock Exchange, the AIM folks in specifically. And we had a wonderful set of brokers and folks in London also that we were working with Dowgate. And we realized that this was a tremendous perfect fit for us on raising the funding we needed to get this. And the wonderful thing about listing early too is it's also an opportunity to showcase the product too. It's a wonderful way you get out there, people learn more about your product. It's been amazing just in our investors alone, how many have invested because they knew of a family member that had COPD and other lung diseases. And so it's been a wonderful marketing opportunity for us too, for a small company, which when you're trying to control budgets, what better way to get on the world stage? And there's your product out there and other people, because we have just as many inquiries from investors about our product as we do just from customers. So that's been a big plus for us. And that's why we went down that route. We saw we could raise the funding we wanted. It was not prohibitively expensive to do it. There was a lot of interest. As you said, we IPO'd. It was an oversubscribed IPO round. So we've been very pleased with what happened with the London Stock Exchange and AIM, and have encouraged other people in the United States to look into it too.
You talked about being that very innovative company that does what you says you're going to do, which I think is so important. I remember when we were preparing for this, you said something that really surprised me. I think it was probably surprised a lot of people that Belluscura has actually lowered its prices in the current markets.
Yeah, and that's we've seen, unfortunately, what we've seen in the industry and across the board is everybody reacts to the inflation and some supply chain costs and stuff, but we're holding our prices, and in fact, the next generation product is coming in a little less expensive, and we're doing that through a host of different ways by an improved supply chain. But we just feel that this is where we have very strong margins, and we just don't agree. I've never agreed with in the past when I've seen other companies that just typically keep raising their prices. And I think that I remember years ago where somebody said, inflation drives innovation. And so that's what we're trying to do, is say, listen, you can't keep raising the price. We're going to price our customers out of the market. Medicare and NHS funding is X amount. And so you can't just keep raising prices. So you have to do things to respond to that. And so we're doing that ahead of the curve. And right now, the distributors we're working with, it's been a tremendous response on that. And we've also went to direct-to-consumer sales. That's another way that we aren't just relying on distributors. So it's always innovating and looking ahead. So that's a big reason why we can change our pricing is that we are going direct-to-consumer on the products. And so there's a whole host of things going on that, once again, innovation beyond just the technical is a big plus of this company.
So here at the London Stock Exchange, we like to think that the IPO is more the start of the story rather than the end. And I think that's very true for Belluscura. I know you came back for a follow-on transaction in May 2022, raising $7 million. How was your experience of coming back to the public markets a year after your IPO?
It was very good. I think you're always hesitant when you have a very successful IPO. We weren't planning on coming back, but we had a tremendous opportunity with a group in China that was a global leader in manufacturing, and we saw an opportunity to expand with them. We were honored to have them reach out to us. It's a joint venture with to expand our opportunity in Asia Pacific, and we needed to raise funding to take on that opportunity. And so we went back to the market, and once again, it's all about explaining it. Here's what the opportunity is. Here's what it's going to cost, and here's what it's going to do. And this is the $1 billion market that it opens for us. And so that was, nothing's easy. There was obviously a whole lot of things going on in the world a few months ago, and still are, that made it difficult. But I think we laid it out, we explained it. We had a lot of people want to come in, and we raised it, and that's allowed us to keep moving forward with a lot of things, and that continues to move. The Chinese development operation continues to move forward. So it was a good response. It was a very efficient way to raise money. The people were very responsive in raising money through a Zoom and stuff like that. So everything went very, very well. We were quite pleased.
It's great to hear. Looking forward now, obviously Belluscura is already awesome, but what are the plans in the next 5 years? Where do you see this journey continuing?
Well, I mean, there's lots of things going on. We're kind of squeezed in this office because we got a whole bunch of manufacturing going on here in Texas and expanding into Asia Pacific. We're finishing up what's known as our ISO audit, which will allow us then to expand into Europe we get clearance for the CA and the CE mark. That's all planned for 2023. So we have a next generation product that we will be releasing within the next 5 months here. It'll be this year, the Discover. Internally, we've called it the DX. And that's going to be a transformational product for us. The first one is wonderful, the Explorer. This one is significantly smaller and lighter. We have significant interest, the expansion overseas. There's just a lot of things. So I quite frankly, I don't look out 5 years. We look, 12 to 18 months because there's so much going on. We're bringing on board a lot of talented people, and we keep devising and developing new generation. We're the first company that we know of that has released an app, a mobile app that pulls data from your phone and your pulse oximeters and your iPhone data and stuff like that. It all goes onto our Nomad app. Nobody else has done that. So we continue even within this innovating. So there's a lot of things. I can't even imagine what's going on in 5 years. We got a lot going on in the next 18 months.
Final question from me. You've obviously incredibly busy. You've got so much going on as a CEO of a public company. Is there anything that keeps you up at night? No, I mean, I'd never get sleep. No, I don't. That's this company. I learned years and years ago. Back in my days as a trial attorney, way back when, and we had major cases, $1 billion bet the farm litigations. You learn to, taking it myself, it's kind of silly, but all the way back to, I can remember my basketball coach when I was in high school yelling at me and saying, hey, Rauker, you'll never get a good shot if you don't learn to pivot. And so that's kind of the mantra that we operate here is, we learn to pivot, we learn to adjust. And that's why you don't end up having sleepless nights, is if you're always prepared to adjust. We had to adjust to a pandemic. We product company was founded during Brexit. We always seem to be different things, supply chain, and when you build a company around pivoting and adjusting, you don't yes, there's a lot of crazy, and we're going to be here on Saturday morning doing some things because we have to adjust and do things on Sunday, but that's what we do. And but you build a company around a mentality of always being willing to adjust and pivot. You don't have the sleepless nights. I love that mantra from your basketball coach. I love the fact that it's still with you all these years later. Bob, this has been so interesting. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. And thank you for joining us. If you would like to learn more about Be Inspired and hear some more of the stories, please head to our website, lsegissuerservices.com/spark.